Okay. Hopefully my final start. Okay. So, once again, um, I know we've had like time in class, but just a reintroduction again. My name is Miracle, and my presentation is a depiction of Hoodoo and Ayurveda. And the title, Healing Through Roots, is actually a double entendre that will reveal itself throughout the presentation. So, I like to begin with a story. It's actually from my childhood, and it features one of my favorite African American folklore characters. I actually named my dog after him. So, we'll begin. So, the story is titled How Wisdom Came into the World. There once lived a man named Father Anansi. He possessed all the wisdom in the world. People came to him daily for advice and help. One day, the men of the country made the mistake of offending Father Anansi, who immediately decided to punish them. After much thought, he believed that the most severe punishment he could inflict would be to hide all the wisdom from them. He set to work at once to gather together everything he had already given. Once he succeeded, he placed it all in a great pot and sealed it carefully. He was determined to put it in a spot where no human being could reach it. Now Father Anansi had a son named Kweku. This boy began to suspect his father had some secret plan, and he made up in his mind to watch him carefully. The next day he saw his father quietly slip out of the house with his precious pot hung around his neck. Kweku followed. Father Anansi went through the forest until he left the village far behind. Then, selecting the tallest and most remote tree, he began to climb it. The heavy pot hanging out in front of him made his ascent almost impossible. Again and again he tried to reach the top of the tree, where he planned to hang the pot. There, he thought, wisdom would indeed be beyond the reach of everyone but himself. But he was unable to carry out his wish. Each time he tried, the pot was in his way. Now for some time Kwaku watched his father's hopeless attempts to climb the tree, and at last, unable to contain himself, he called out, "Father, why don't you hang the pot across your back? Then you can easily climb the tree." Father Anansi turned and said, "I thought I had all the world's wisdom in this pot, but now I see that you possess more than I do. All my wisdom was inadequate to show me what to do, yet you have been able to tell me." He was so angry that he threw the pot down to the ground. It struck a great rock and broke into pieces. The wisdom contained in it escaped and spread throughout the world. Okay, so in these traditional practices like Ayurveda and Hoodoo, it was first taught to us through oral tradition. And just like the story I just told, and actually everything that I'm about to reveal in this PowerPoint is an example of this oral tradition being passed down. So, yeah, I'll start. Okay, so first let me just start with what Hoodoo is. So, Hoodoo is a set of spiritual practices brought to America by African slaves. It is also called root work or conjure. Hoodoo is a show of pain and resilience. So when my ancestors first landed here, there were slaves. Um, these were people taken from their homes. They were whole people with rituals and practices and religions and a thriving community. But unfortunately, when they came here, to be able to keep that would have meant death. To be able to practice what they had been practicing, to move how they had been moving in this new society, that couldn't even be possible. So, to combat that, the slaves combined and masked their spiritual customs. This mix of traditional African religions like voodoo and Christianity birthed what we have today, our present day hoodoo. And in my presentation, I just have some depictions of them. Like I have the paintings down below. This is kind of like the depictions, like the one with the color is from St. Louis. Hoodoo spread throughout the South, where slavery was mostly practiced. And then we have the other one, the black and white one. It was actually a depiction by a white photographer and a white artist. Up above, we have modern day hoodoo practitioners. Oh, and in the middle is actually from New Orleans, from my home state of Louisiana, from the House of Hoodoo. Okay. Okay. So you have to keep in mind that these people were not in conditions like you and I. Like, we're free people. We do as we wish. I do as we please. Like, right now, I have the freedom to give this presentation. Um, I have the freedom to go as I wish. I could leave after this. I can do anything, truly. These were broken people. These people were made into tools. They were brought here to be machines. And just as machines are in today's society, when they are no longer good, they're replaced or discarded when they can't yield satisfying results. So, because of this, my people had to stay in shape. They had to be in optimal health. They couldn't be sore. They couldn't be anxious. They could not be stressed out. They couldn't be these things and show this. It needed to remain great. They needed to be perfect. They needed to be machines. And to achieve this, they had to mask this perfection, and in many ways. So I'll highlight a few today in my presentation. We'll start with herbs. So, in Ayurveda, herbalism is a way of life. You can smell it in the food, you can see it in the oils. Hell, you can see it when you walk into a room. The same can be said in hoodoo. My first plant right here, you can see on the PowerPoint, I have like this beautiful forest. Those are actually sandalwood trees. And I have my little sandalwood incense right here. So sandalwood is supposed to be sacred in Ayurveda and also in hoodoo. I was first introduced to it when I was like the tiniest kid. I can always remember my mom like burning the incense, or my grandmother telling me like, "Oh, you just need sandalwood for this," and it was supposed to be able to purify me. It was supposed to purify a room, and I found that in Ayurveda, it had a lot of the same qualities. It was sacred. It meant purity. So I keep it in everyday use. Like this is actually, well, duh. This is my incense plate. I keep it burning like while I do conjure, or I keep it burning while I'm writing. Um, Another reason I use the sandalwood is in smudging, which is just the ancient tradition of cleansing out a space by burning the herb or burning the sandalwood. So these are what I usually use to smudge with. These are some incense sticks, and I have a sage and patchouli blend, and then I have the dragon's blood blend. I showed it in class yesterday. And this little basin is what I smudge in, and I just keep it burning. And then I have a tiny video of this woman practicing the smudging. Uh-oh. One sec. So it looks like that you would just go throughout your house and cleanse. And hoodoo is a little different because we do a cleansing ceremony with sweeping, but same concept. Um, okay, so another of the herbs that I noticed were a crossover into both practices was the champa, and I hope I'm pronouncing that well. So those are those really nice white flowers down there. They actually remind me of my hometown and the magnolias. That's our state flower. So I definitely wanted to feature those. So champa is used for peace, and in hoodoo, it is just for good luck. It's for general good positivity. I actually wore some today, and I have this tiny little vial of it mixed up. um, so yeah, there are numerous herbs like you can use in both cultures. Like we have ashwagandha for the mind, bay leaf for a wish, rose for a heart, and ginger for a stomach. I feel like both groups of people were just able to make do with what they had. That was my take on it for a really long time. But I also think they knew something more than us. Like they knew the world around them and they knew how to utilize it to get the best results and to heal and to know. So let's move on. Oh, and also I have some herbalized oil at the top. Of course, we all know Banyan Botanicals. We use their oils throughout our like Ayurvedic services. And then I have my own hoodoo oils. These are from House of Hoodoo, and they're just for different conditions. Like I have a beauty oil, a happiness oil, a lust oil and an abundance oil. I have tons of them, but these are the four I brought. They smell so good. I'll let y'all smell them after. Okay. Okay. So now we're going to move on to crystals. So when I was growing up, it was big in our family that everything in this world had an effect on us, and that I needed to make sure that I was aware of how I was affecting the world and how it was affecting me. My parents were huge on whatever I gave out, I needed to make sure that it was pure. Whatever I was intaking, I needed to make sure that it was pure. It was big in our household. Um, and as I got older, I realized that a really great example of that would be crystals. From a young age, my mom would give us like stones for protection. I remember when I first went to college, she gave me so much jet, and I was like, what am I going to do with this? But it came in handy. So she knew something I didn't know. So the energy crystals possess and their interactions with the energy that we have as people is extremely important. In Ayurveda, gemstones have healing properties, and they correlate to the points on our body, such as the heart. Like you can take the rose quartz that I have at the top, it's that pink stone, kind of looks like a seashell to me. And it's said to have an affinity for the heart and all its ailments, like from heartbreak to heart attacks. Like it's said to be able to heal that, or at least to help and aid in that. And the same can be said in Hoodoo, but it's a little different. So in Hoodoo, they do believe that the gemstones hold power, but they interact with it kind of different. So you have to keep in mind that Hoodoo was originated during slavery. So you could not just be walking around with an amethyst. Like that would have never happened. You would not have been walking around with an emerald. So we created a way to mask it, a way to cover it up. And here we do. We have these mojos. So mojos are just a flannel bag, and they're filled with like powerful energy. This is mine right here, and I have some citrine in it. I also have a prayer on a bay leaf. As I talked about before, bay leaves are for wishing. So this is my prayer from a presentation. I'll just put it to the side. Um, they were mostly used for protection, again, because of the time that it originated. There was a lot happening. Even you could say the same thing about now. But people also used it to harness other things like success or for diabetes. There's even one for like birth control. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So I just thought that was really cool. Like both sets of people were very aware of like what was growing in the earth and what we could do with it, what was happening, or like how they felt about it. I feel like for the most part with me, even the citrine, how I feel about it. I know a lot of people would always ask me like, why do you think that those works? And I think it's so natural to me because I grew up in it. I don't think about it like that, but I do. I don't think that they work. I feel that they work, and I feel like because of that, I can understand like how my ancestors felt, or how the people of Ayurveda felt. Like you feel it, you just know, you know. Okie doke. So my final topic that I'll discuss with you guys is movement, and I'll do it in two parts. So movement makes up so much of our lives. We walked over to this presentation, we rolled out of bed, um, we do our services, we're always like in motion. And it just has such a great effect on our life, or great, poor, whatever you like to think. In Ayurveda, there are actually 6 philosophies of life. The 5th one is yoga. Yoga is this conscious movement. It's a journey through self, the merger of higher self and lower self. Yoga is said to be a gift from Shiva. And I have a TikTok that explains it a little better. I'll just let it play.
Yoga isn't what you think it is. This is what comes up if you search for it on Google. The image it has in the West is just of a physical exercise that's supposed to give you mental peace. It can be both of those things, but it's also so much more. In this video, I'm going to break down the 4 main forms of yoga. They are as following: Jnana, Bhakti, Karma, and Raja. Before we get into it, I'll mention the true purpose of yoga. The word yoga itself means union, and that's also the goal. Union with all of existence by expanding our consciousness to match. Reaching that level, you transcend all of the suffering attached to the material world. Anything that is supposed to achieve union is thereby considered to be yoga. So now let's break down the 4 main forms. Jnana Yoga is a yoga of knowledge, where one studies the ancient scriptures and modern texts, and through constant self-inquiry, asking yourself, who am I? Who is this? What is all of this? You learn the truth over time. Knowledge is power, and that's what Jnana Yoga embodies. Bhakti Yoga is the yoga of devotion. Through loving worship of one's Ishtadeva or Devas, which can be any of your favorite gods or goddesses, or just God, you can get the specific qualities you want to embody reflected back at you. Bhakti is considered to be the yoga in which you use emotions as a tool for spiritual development. Karma Yoga is the yoga of action. Here one should act according to dharma without any attachment to the results. A true karma yogi is unfazed by success and failure alike. Right action is seen as a prayer in karma yoga. Lastly, we have Raja Yoga, also known as Ashtanga Yoga or Classical Yoga. This is the full-fledged form of yoga. We have 8 limbs that are supposed to be completed from top to bottom. This is quite reminiscent of Gautama Buddha's Noble Eightfold Path, Samadhi or enlightenment being the final step. By the way, what we see in the West is often only just the asanas. It provides a full roadmap to get to where you want to go. Now keep in mind, none of these forms of yoga are considered to be mutually exclusive. In fact, it's encouraged to practice all of them together because then you really get the best of all worlds. That way you have your action, you have your knowledge, you have your emotion, and you have your discipline.
Okay. So, as we see, yoga is an entire healing and teaching process. Through poses and postures, there's this creation of peace, or almost like a manifestation of peace, because I think it pretty much exists in all of us. It just has to showcase, but whatever. Um, so in Ayurveda, there's a word for that peace, that purity, that stillness. It's called sattvic. And in Hoodoo, there's also movement. There's also this peacefulness that comes through living and doing in our actions. In Hoodoo, we have the ring shout. The ring shout is a counterclockwise shuffling dance. So I do want to say that it's different. Um, and I think it's different because of the conditions. Like these were people just living. Like they weren't not even living, they were just existing. They didn't really have like the autonomy that we have today. So I think because of that, you get this whole other type of energy. Um, the ring shout is chaotic, it's heavy, it's hard, it's loud. There are these outcries and this physical like manifestation of emotion. It's big. In Ayurveda, there's a term for that fast, fiery energy, and it's rajasic. If I had to describe the ring shout, I would say it's rajasic. And again, I have some little videos to showcase it. Also, the picture in the middle, I think that's a great depiction of it. You got a right to the tree of life. You got a right. You got a right to the tree of life. Every mother's got a right. You got a right to the tree of life. Every mother's got a right. You got a right to the tree of life. You got a right. You got a right. You got a right to the tree of life. You got a right. You got a right. You got a right to the tree of life. On every road. Oh Lord. On Mother Road. Oh Lord. And it's very reminiscent to Black Southern churches, like during their praise and worship portions of the church, a lot of times there are this like spiritual outcries and outpouring that go very similar to this, and I think it has a lot to do with this hoodoo spread throughout the South. Okay, so my favorite slide. So Ayurveda and hoodoo were first practiced by older generations for understanding and healing. They developed on two separate hemispheres, with two separate ages, with two separate groups of people. Yet they share the common goal of bestowing knowledge. When practices like these take root in people, there's never a total annihilation. There can be silence, there can be stillness, but there's never death. The voices of ancestors will always be heard, the practices will always be practiced, just like right now with me presenting to you all. And I think because of this need to be heard and seen, it is our duty as people to know. Like, I think everyone should know their roots, know what's growing around you, know your words. Like, there is a mindfulness and there is an awakening in learning yourself, learning your connections and what you come from, what you have in you. So it is our duty to get to know ourselves. Dig up old photos. I did a lot to find these for this slide. Reach out to a grand, like learn something. Throughout this process of making my presentation and making my paper, I had to hold interviews with members of my family. And at first I was like, oh, this is so awkward. I haven't talked to them in years. And there was so much information that I did not possess. And I feel like today, July, whatever today is, 6th, 5th, whatever, I know so much more than I did June 20th. Like, I know so much more about, I even know how to like make a Audi and any, like what, how would I know that? I would have never known that. I know how to shape a head. I know so much from conversations that started with, God, this is going to be so awkward. This is so weird. I haven't talked to them in so long. Like, yeah, I think it's our duty to get to know who's in our family. Even if you feel like, oh, I just have such a small family, I always say that. Like, the photos that I have, this is pretty much all I have. Get to know them. Because you might learn something. And when you do, keep it to pass on. That is all. Yes. And those are my family members. That is my great grandpa that climbs the trees. He's in the blue. With those tiny kids, Rima.
I love it so much.
Thanks.
I think you look great. I'm just going to tell Ari that you're done.
Okay.
I think I will just put the camera on there.
Okay.
That was incredible.
Thanks, Sarah.
I just loved it. And I can't wait to look at your slides more. I just love that you spoke from the heart. I love the connections. You know, like, they're so similar. I love that you brought up oral tradition. That's so huge. It was amazing.
Thanks.
It was amazing. It cheered me up.
I know.
It was amazing. That's why I knew I had to come in person.
For your oils, do you just put those like on your body? Do you put them on candles? What do you do with them?
So when I grew up, oils have always been a big thing. So everything you can take to do with it. My grandmother used to make edible oils, and it sounds so cool. It was so nasty. She used to give us a lot of. I've always grown up with oils. Like when I first went to school, my parents doused me in Florida water and in champa to make sure that I was a successful student. So everywhere, you can use them like perfumes almost. Like these are perfumes.
Sorry, I don't know how to turn off the mic here.
Oh, that's okay. There's a little, you can just actually mute it right here.
Hi guys, we're going to learn about chakras some more today. My presentation is called Divinely Aligned. So this first slide goes into depth about what a chakra is. In Ayurveda, a chakra is a term defined as the core energy centers within our body. They're derived from the Vedas, which are ancient Hindu scriptures. The word chakra means wheel, therefore making each chakra a wheel of prana, which is life force energy. In Sanskrit, chakra is translated to wheel. When Kundalini energy flows through the wheel, it will spin faster and stronger. Likewise, if the wheel is black, the wheel will not spin as it is supposed to. Kundalini energy is a manifestation of prana. When Kundalini energy moves throughout the body, it awakens different abilities, higher states of consciousness. Understanding your energy centers can help you understand yourself on a deeper level. In Ayurveda, in order to evolve and be at a state of optimal being, your lower self must connect with your higher self. So here's a picture of the 7 chakras from the root to the, going the wrong way. Hold on, guys. Okay, here's the chakras. So each chakra has something that it represents. It has colors. It has personality traits. It affects your health in different ways. So it is important to keep them balanced, because when the energy becomes stagnant and traps, that is how the disease is be able to manifest. The chakras connect to the major nadis, energy channels in the subtle body, which is called the astral spine. Located along the backbone and stretching from the base of the spine to the crown of the head, the 7 main chakras express different characteristics with a physical, emotional, creative, and spiritual component. Being that these are the 7 major energy points in the body, keeping them balanced and ensuring energy is flowing is crucial to one's well-being of their mental, spiritual, and physical body. When a chakra or chakras are imbalanced or black, one will experience acute or chronic ailments in the physical body, as well as the mental and emotional. Potential health issues vary for each chakra, as each chakra is responsible for different things. Each chakra is associated with a color, aroma, different crystals, sound frequency, yoga poses, food, mantras, and so much more. So here, the root chakra basically represents trust, stability, feeling secure. Your sacral chakra represents sexuality, creativity. Solar plexus represents wisdom and power. Your heart chakra represents love and healing. Throat represents communication and expression. The third one represents awareness and intuition. And the last one, the crown chakra, represents spirituality. So, like I said, each chakra has different health issues that can be associated with each one. So, with the root chakra, one may experience insecurity, fear, lack of trust in self and others, inappropriate elimination, arthritis, issues with blood in the circulatory system, issues within the immune system, knee pain, sciatica, eating disorders, constipations, problems with legs or feet, tailbone or rectum. And emotionally, a black root chakra will cause one to feel unstable, ungrounded, and feel not safe or insecure. A blocked sacral chakra will cause hormone imbalance, reproductive issues, low self-confidence, weakness, low libido, low energy, urinary tract issues, kidney dysfunctions, hip and pelvic pain, and low back pain. Furthermore, a blocked sacral chakra will express emotional problems such as issues with commitment, especially in relationship, issues with expressing emotions, and it affects our ability to have fun, and issues with creativity, pleasure, sexuality, and fear. A black solar plexus will consist of having digestive issues, liver dysfunction, chronic fatigue, high blood pressure, diabetes, stomach ulcers, issues with your gallbladder, pancreas, and colon disease. Emotional issues that are associated with solar plexus consist of issues of personal power, self esteem issues, overcritical on yourself, fears of rejection, criticism, and issues with your physical appearance. The fourth chakra is the heart. An imbalanced heart chakra is responsible for asthma, heart disease, lung disease, issues with breast, issues within your lymphatic system, upper back pain, shoulder, arm, and wrist pain, and complications. Issues in the emotional aspect consist of being overloving, overbearing, jealousy, abandonment issues, anger, bitterness, fear of loneliness, and heartbreak. Throat chakra will consist of having thyroid issues, sore throat, laryngitis, TMJ, which is temporomandibular joint dysfunction, ear infections, ulcer, facial problems with your chin, cheek, lip, or tongue, neck and shoulder pain, along with self expressions through communications, both written and spoken, fear of no power, no willpower, feeling out of control, and using sharp words in communication, as well as not communicating effectively. Following the throat chakra is the sixth chakra, known as the third eye. A black third eye can cause physical health problems such as headaches, blurred vision, sinus complications, reoccurring sinus infections, pain from eye strain, seizures, hearing loss, hormone fluctuation, and emotionally it can cause issues with volatility, self-reflection, inability to look at your own fear, inability to learn from others, and people will often daydream to escape reality as well as live in a world of exaggerated imagination. Lastly is the crown chakra. When the crown chakra is blocked, one can experience confusion, mental lag, lack of connection to the world, poor mental functioning, lack of focus, depression, sensitivity to light, sound, and environment, as well as issues with self-knowledge, and issues of greater power and fear of alienation. So there are plenty ways to unblock a chakra. The one way you can do that is using crystals. This says here that crystals are a powerful way to unblock your chakra. You need to choose a crystal that corresponds to the chakra you're trying to block, and then you can lie on the floor with your back on the ground. Place the crystal on the chakra's location on your body. Close your eyes and envision that crystal's color surrounding the specific chakra and slowly spreading through your body. So, crystals that align with the crown chakra, some of them are rainbow moonstone, howlite, selenite, and clear quartz. For the third eye, we have amethyst, labradorite, lepidolite, and lapis lazuli. For the throat, we have blue kyanite, blue apatite, aquamarine. For the heart, we have emerald, green aventurine, jade, and prehnite. For the solar plexus, tiger eye, citrine, quartz, honey calcite, sacral, moonstone, peach aventurine, orange calcite, and carnelian. And lastly, for the root, we have red jasper, garnet, red tiger's eye, and black tourmaline. And then, as well as using crystals, you can use sound healing. Each chakra has its own frequency for sound healing that you can listen to. As well as sound healing. Each chakra also has a bija mantra that can be chanted to activate the chakra. And I have some videos on via bija mantras. What time is it? 11:12. I'll do the shorter video.
Om Nam Namaha, 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 Om Ram 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 Namaha, Om Yam 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 Namaha, Om Ham 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 Namaha, Om
I won't
Ham.
play this because it's a whole 10 minutes, but you guys get the gist of how there's a bija mantra for each chakra. And then, hold on. And so, hold on. So as well as using bija mantras, you can also use essential oils to be utilized for aromatherapy, or you can apply them directly to the body to recalibrate your chakra. Each chakra has certain aromas that correlate with them. For the root chakra, it would be cedar wood, rosemary, sandalwood, basil, patchouli, black pepper, geranium. For the sacral, we have orange, tangerine, cinnamon, bergamot, neroli, cypress, cardamom. For solar plexus, we have lemon, lemongrass, coriander, juniper, lime, rosemary, pine. For the heart, we have lavender, rose, jasmine, geranium, goldenrod, cypress, rosewood, pine. For the throat, we have basil, cypress, peppermint, chamomile, coriander, juniper, eucalyptus, and lavender. For the third eye, we have frankincense, basil, juniper, rosemary, lemon, pine, cedarwood, sandalwood. And lastly, for the crown, we have frankincense, sandalwood, saffron, jasmine, cedarwood, lavender, and lime. And I also brought out the Aveda chakra sprays because you can use the aromas as a spray to spray on yourself if you feel like one of your chakras need to be activated. And then you can also feed your chakras because certain food and food groups are consumed to help keep the chakra healthy and balanced. For the throat chakra, I'll start at the root chakra. For root chakra, we recommend red fruits and vegetables. For sacral, clear liquids, orange fruits and vegetables. For solar plexus is complex carbohydrates, whole grains, yellow fruits and vegetables. For the heart, green liquids, green fruits and vegetables. For the throat chakra, soothing foods and liquids, blue fruits and vegetables. For the third eye, foods that support the brain, purple foods and vegetables. And for crown chakra, herbal teas for meditation are good to use. And here's just another slide. This one also includes herbs that you can use to help activate the chakras. I found that really interesting because I never thought about using food or herbs to help activate your chakras. That was not even something that would have crossed my mind before researching it more in depth. And here's just another one of healing foods. I'll read this list because it's small. For the root, it says root vegetables such as sweet potatoes, carrots, red fruits such as apples, strawberries, and cherries, protein rich foods such as beans and nut butters. For your sacral, spices such as cinnamon, oranges, Orange produce such as mangoes, oranges, and carrots, and honey is good for your sacral chakra. For solar plexus, complex carbs such as oatmeal and quinoa, yellow produce such as bananas, pineapple, and squash, ginger, turmeric, cumin, and fennel. For your heart healthy leafy green vegetables, green tea, basil, thyme, and cilantro. For the throat, herbal teas with honey and or lemon, fruit smoothies, cantaloupe, watermelon, and honeydew. Third eye, dark blue purple fruits such as blueberries or blackberries, brain boosting antioxidants such as dark chocolate, grape juice. And lastly, crown purified water, detox and fasting if it's safe for you. So, in conclusion, meditation, yoga, bija mantras, gemology, aromatherapy, sound healing, and being aware of your diet and lifestyles are all practices of Ayurveda, which is a science of life. By practicing these to help balance and open one's chakra, one is practicing Ayurveda. Ayurveda focuses on eliminating the problem from the root cause and not just treating them to suppress the symptoms, because the symptoms are what we need to pay attention to in order to realize that there's a deeper problem at hand. The chakras are a part of what Ayurveda defines as the mystical body, and Ayurveda understands that maintaining the health of the mystical body is just as important as if not more important as maintaining the physical body. To balance the chakras is to balance the mind, body, and soul, which is another pillar of Ayurveda. One must have their body, mind, and soul balanced in order to be considered healthy.
Ready to go? Okay. Hello, and welcome to my Ayurvedic presentation on the hidden secrets of ghee. So why ghee? Ghee has been a staple in my kitchen for many years, and now that I'm learning to be an Ayurvedic health counselor, I can fully appreciate why I have always loved this beautiful substance, and I'd like to share its magic with all of you. For over 5,000 years, India and the world of Ayurveda has been using ghee, not only as a staple in the kitchen, but for rituals and cleansing our bodies inside and out. Ghee is a golden substance that holds energy and nourishes us by going to all 7 dhatus of the body. This is what ghee looks like. In the time that it's going to take me to do this presentation, we will have made ghee. And it's really quite simple, and I'm excited to share it all with you so that you can do it at home. So what is ghee? Ghee is the pure saturated fat that is collected after boiling down full fat butter like this, typically from whole milk from grass-fed cows, so that the magic that is ghee can be revealed by removing the milk solids from the butter and creating a beautiful substance that can take the heat in the kitchen, and it literally can, it has a very high smoke point, and kindle our digestive fire and deliver the powerful healing properties of herbs to all 7 dhatus of the body. That's the second time I've said dhatus, and I promise I will get back to what dhatus are in just a moment. So I just want to talk a little bit about my own story with ghee. About 20 years ago, I worked in the operating room, and we cooked a lot. All of us did, and we loved sharing recipes. And I had a surgeon that I worked with, his wife was from India, and she loved to cook. And he said, Christy, why don't you make your own ghee? And so I ran off to the store, because that's what you do when given a challenge. And I brought home my butter and I burned it. I burned it. But many attempts later, I got really good at it. And it's been a staple in my kitchen for over 20 years. Ghee holds energy. So it is really important that when you make it, like we are right now, that you have a calm atmosphere. And some people even make ghee when there's a full moon or they're just feeling like their energy is really good. So I have a positive energy candle burning here. My ghee might be a little nervous because I feel a little nervous right now. We'll see how that comes out. So I did a lot of cooking for my 4 children when they were growing up. And it was really important that they had a good, solid nutrition. Like, that was the most important thing to me. Everything else went by the wayside, and how to cook and to keep nutrition is a really important part of their growing up, was just so important for me. And happily, they're all adults, and they can all manage in the kitchen really well, and I'm very proud of that. I'm gonna keep stirring this every once in a while just to make sure that we don't burn it. Okay. So I did mention that ghee does have a high smoke point that you can use to cook it, but while you're making the ghee itself, it will burn. So you can't get it too hot. Okay, so in the slide that I have here, this is really how the whole start of the process is with ghee. So picture a happy cow on a grass-fed pasture, and then someone comes along and milks the cow, and you get your milk. In that milk from the cow, there's the fat that comes to the top, and that is heavy cream. And that's what we need to make ghee. Now, originally, and what cultured ghee is you take that milk, separate the cream, add a curd, and that's going to give it culture, and that helps with digestion. There are lots of things that cultured ghee does that regular ghee does not. To just list a few, it promotes longevity. pacifies airy and fiery digestion, enhances the complexion and the glow of the face. It helps brain function and learning retention and recall. So we've got our heavy cream and we've added our curd. And now it's time to churn it. I don't hand churn it. My family teases me because they say one day I'll be sitting on my front porch hand churning my own butter. It hasn't come to that yet. I use a mix master. But it is very rewarding when you make your own butter from that heavy cream. It starts to make like this swishing, slapping kind of noise in the mix master. And then what you've got is buttermilk and butter. And that buttermilk is so good. It's so good. So if you ever do try this, save that buttermilk and use it for baking or just drinking it. It's delicious. Put it on cereal. Okay, so then you've got your butter, which essentially is just what we have here. The only difference is it has a little culture in it, and you make your ghee. So that is how you make it. But let's talk about the benefits. There are so many benefits to this wonderful, incredibly shelf-stable product that Ayurveda doesn't live without. I think every Ayurvedic kitchen has ghee. Absolutely does. It lasts for, I've read, up to a year. I've never been able to keep it in a jar long enough to try that out. But if water gets into your container or any other contaminants, it can go rancid. So it's really important to keep it in a nice, dry, airtight container in the pantry. It's perfectly fine. So other than being shelf stable and having a high smoke point, it is highly nutritious. So ghee contains vitamins A, D, E, and K, and it has omega-3s and CLA, which is conjugated linoleic acid. It also has butyric acid, and both are anti-inflammatories. And it's also said to possibly help with blood disorders, definitely gut disorders. It is rich in good cholesterol, which is HDL. Another really cool thing about ghee is that people that are lactose intolerant can often tolerate ghee because the milk solids and the casein and the lactose has been removed. Now that's not 100% of people, of course, but it's worth a shot. The paleo diet community definitely uses ghee as an okayed substance, even though they do not consume dairy. So shelf stable, very nutritious. It can help to heal your gut. But that's not all. In Ayurveda, there is a thing called Agni, and that is our digestive fire. And ghee is what's called in Ayurveda adipana, and it stimulates that Agni, which is so important because everything in Ayurveda begins in the digestive system. So if you have a healthy, really well-burning Agni or digestive fire, like that clean flame, that really healthy fire that you see, not damp or burning out of control, but a really, really, really well-built campfire, your food is easily digested. And ghee is used to stimulate that. So it's a deepana. It's easily digestible. And I think my favorite thing about, well, maybe one of my favorite things is that ghee has a special pravava. And that means that in Ayurveda, we are all made up of 3 doshas, which makes us who we are, vata, pitta, and kapha. And without going into too much detail about that, the easiest way to explain it is a vata person might really do well with ghee, where a kapha person technically shouldn't do well with ghee. But for some reason, they do. So it makes it tridoshic, something that we can all benefit from. And there aren't that many things in Ayurveda that are like that, but ghee is definitely probably number 1 on the list. So it's an unexplainable quality. Also, I want to mention too, before I forget, if you do have high cholesterol, or if you're working with your doctor about anything where they don't want you to have saturated fat, then ghee is not for you. It's just my little disclaimer there. So, moving along. Ayurveda also has, excuse me, a ritual that is usually done seasonally to detoxify the body, and it's called Panchakarma. And it includes herbs and many, many, many rituals, but I'm just going to emphasize ghee's role in the Panchakarma. Last spring, I did a cleanse. And one of the first things I had to do in the morning was the first thing, drink 9 teaspoons of melted ghee. And my first thought was, oh my gosh, no, I'm never going to do this. It's going to be terrible. I'm going to be nauseous. And who wants to have all that fat in their belly? But being the person that I am, I did it. And I realized right away that, you're not eating much on a fast. You're not eating much at all. And so that made you feel, it satiated you. But about half an hour into the whole thing, I heard this very strange noise coming from my gallbladder. I didn't realize it was my gallbladder until I looked it up and read about what is happening. What it does, what the fat does, is it stimulates the gallbladder. So your gallbladder is essentially squeezing out all of those enzymes that are so good for digestion, but also they get sludgy in there. And if you don't keep that active, and if it's not moving and doing its thing, you can get gallbladder disease, which is very, very prevalent right now in America. Firsthand, I saw a lot of gallstones over the years, and I do not want them. They're very painful. So that's one of the benefits. The other part, the other role that ghee plays in Panchakarma is delivering herbs to your tissues, all 7 dhatus. And it does that by, you can make a decoction, like we learned in school, where you infuse the ghee with your chosen herb. And there's many herbs. There's so many different choices, but this one is Brahmi ghee. And there's a formula that you use. You boil it down. It takes a little while, but then you have this beautiful herbalized formula. And that was a big part of my Panchakarma detox. I don't want to ruin our beautiful ghee, so I'm making sure that it doesn't burn. Okay. So Panchakarma. Part about Panchakarma getting those herbs to your 7 dhatus is, let's talk about the dhatus. We have 7. Rasa, Rakta, Mamsa, Meda, Asti, Maja, Shukra, and Artava. Rasa is your first and most important. It is your lymphatic system, plasma, and each consecutive tissue, dhatu, is built upon from the previous. So it is vital that you have good rasa. The very beginning, the whole beginning of the system has to be healthy and nourished. And so delivering herbs to get to all 7 tissues or dhatus, ghee makes an excellent vehicle for doing so. It takes 30 to 35 days, I've read different things, of food to assimilate in your body to get to all 7 dhatus. That's a long time. That takes an awful long time. So an apple that you ate 35 days ago is today just finally finished what it was meant to do, which also means that that ice cream that I ate 35 days ago might be causing my joint pain. I don't know. So it's vital to have a nutritious diet. And if we can get the herbs that we choose for our own bodies to the tissues that they need to go to, ghee is an excellent vehicle. The other thing that happens when we have a good burning fire, our Agni, is that ama, or undigested food toxins that are accumulated in your body. Go home tonight, look at the back of your tongue. You might have some stuff on there, white, yellow, gray. or you might not have any. But if you do, or if you have scallops on your tongue, it could be that you have some ama in your body. So to keep that digestive fire burning strong and to take the herbs that you need, ghee is a great thing to keep that going. Okay, so, oh dear. It's challenging on the electric burner. I'm used to a flame. So my slide here shows a candle, and this candle is made from ghee. Tritaka is candle gazing. It's used for meditation. You can use this candle for just light. It's a beautiful soft light. It's sattvic in nature, which means it's gentle, pleasing to the eye. But it also says that because ghee has its own special powers and holds energy, that if you meditate with this, that it can help to open your third eye. So it's a very lovely thing, and I enjoy making them by myself instead of buying one. And it's just that simple. We take the ghee that we're going to make here today, pour it in a little jar with a wick. And that is Tritaka. Okay. This electric burner is getting the job done fast. Next, we have Netratarpana. That is exactly what it looks like, ghee in the eye. And when I first saw that, when Rima, my teacher, showed us what we were going to do, I said, oh my gosh, no way. I'm not going to put butter in my eye. Even though I knew what ghee was, I have very sensitive eyes, and I was terrified. But when I'm told to do something, I typically do it. So I did, and I don't regret it. And I have done it every week, give or take, since we learned it back in December, I think it was. So you can use the dough dam with some warmed ghee. It should not be too hot. Or you can use these eye cups, which are just filled up with ghee. Put them on your eyes, pop back, and let the nourishing, healing properties of ghee take over. About 5 minutes, you just do some eye exercises, and magically, it is very relaxing, but there's benefits to it too. It's not just about relaxing. It nourishes the muscles of your eyes. It helps the tissues. If you're looking at a computer screen all day, it really, really helps to ease them. I don't wear my readers that much anymore, which I think is incredible. I could barely see when I started here in this program, and now all of a sudden my eyesight is better. So if that's the only thing you do with ghee, it's well worth making some of your own. But I saved my favorite for the last, and this I've only recently learned about. Rima taught us about this 100 times washed ghee, and it piqued my interest right away. What 100 times washed ghee is used for your skin. So you take a copper bowl, or any bowl that you have, with some really ice cold water, and you rinse it and work it and rinse it and work it over and over, dump that water out, and you do that 100 times. And I took that as a challenge, as I typically do, and got to the 100 washes. I did it all the way to the end. And what I came up with was this beautiful ball of 100 times washed ghee, divided into jars. And I love giving ghee as a gift. It's my, I guess it's my love language. You know, that's what my girls say, that I think that's overused, but it kind of fits with this. It's how I like to, I think it's literally infused with love, and I enjoy giving it as a gift. And I know that there's something to it, and I always have, but now I understand why. I didn't really get it before. So 100 times washed ghee can be used for dark circles under your eyes, just really dry skin. I had some cracked lips yesterday from a reaction I had to something I used. I just went right for this, and this morning perfectly healed up. So it does smell. I finished the last 10 rinses with some rose water, so it's not quite as buttery. So These are just some pictures of my making ghee, making my own butter for my ghee. And I think we are ready to just go ahead and wrap this up. Once I get it in here, I can easily, and it's really kind of hard to see, but the milk solids have definitely separated. I might have overcooked it a little bit because I'm not quite used to this burner. But you just want to strain it with a nice fine mesh strainer and some cheesecloth. Try not to make a giant mess. And we are left with this beautiful liquid gold that can be used in the kitchen at temperatures as high as 500 degrees. If you do burn it, and you really, really burn it, I'm afraid you have to just toss it. But if it's just a little dark, you can still use it. Just keep it in the fridge. So this is what it looks like. And I'm sorry that you couldn't really see what it looked like in the pan. But this is the end product. And I would like to strain that again. If I were at home, I would probably use another strainer because there's still some foam. But really all you do, and I think since we have this, I may as well just go ahead and do it. And then I can give it as a gift today to my friend who's leaving town. You just pour it in there. That's it. Very simple. Ghee candle. Ghee for the kitchen, ghee for your eyes, ghee to get your herbs where they need to go, all 7 dhatus, or you can make 100 times wash ghee. All right. This is an oven method too. If you don't want to fuss with the top of the stove, you can put it in a cast iron pot and shut the door at 250. And about 2 hours later, you've got ghee. Hands off, really, and it works. It works just fine. So thank you for joining me today. If there's any questions, we're done.